Okay. We are back. We are back. Finally back, and it's good to be back. It's been quite a long time. And yes, I am a little fashionably late. Let me just quickly do my checks. I've got this in full screen for some reason. I don't know why. Um, out of sorts. Let's get the chat out. And we can talk about Chelsea West Ham, which is not just a London derby, but a real cup final of a game for us in particular because of not only the recent bad form that we've been on, but also the gift that we've been given with all of the teams around us all dropping points. Now, this is a great opportunity for us to go into fourth, back into the top four, and be 2 points clear of Manchester City. And yeah, great for us to be able to get into that spot. Now, we do have a bingo card for today, as usual. I need to actually tweet the bingo card out. I forgot to do that. So I'll do that at some point. We'll go through that first, then obviously I'll do my predicted lineup. After the predicted lineup, we'll look at the actual lineup and then kind of talk about some other stuff. We've got a lot of transfer talk to talk about today, and it's just typical because obviously it's the January transfer window, the winter transfer window because now we're in February, and the final day has gone absolutely mental with news, and especially on such an important day, I kind of tweeted this out earlier. I hope that the players can kind of ignore the noise and just get their heads down and get a win today. Welcome in. Please don't give me spoilers for the lineups. I've just seen something. Just because, as I said, I haven't seen them. I'm not going to look at them yet. Let's quickly get into the other screen so we can do that real quick. That's all right. Don't worry. You didn't know. But yeah. I will say that firstly we've got the bingo card. We'll go through this. This bingo card in particular this week was or for this match day anyway, was in collaboration with some of the guys in the Discord. If you're not a part of the community Discord, I encourage you to join. We can kind of talk outside of games and things like that out there. The links should be in the description of the VOD and in the stream as well. So we'll quickly go through these. We've got freed from Sanchez jail. Again, don't know if that's going to be a thing. That basically means just if Jurgensen starts. We've got Cuckoo Golasso for if Kukurea scores. We've got the Why Are You There again. Tosin or Josh. This is for if either of those two start instead of Shalabar, which, considering what I've just been told, that's probably likely. Reece goal / assist. We get Palmer returns. This is just for him having a good game, because he's been a bit off in the last game. Last week's scapegoat, we usually have this. Caicedo booked for a clean tackle, we usually have this. The Noni special. Now, this is something that we were talking about in the Discord. This is specifically when Noni does that thing, which he does in pretty much every game, where he cuts inside onto his left foot. He shoots, it gets blocked, and then he does that funny little pirouette afterwards. So we're going to have that. Got unlikely goal scorer. This is just for anyone in the game that's not usually a goal scorer, like scores a goal, like a Caicedo or a Colwill, that type of player. And that's for both teams as well, so if there's anyone on the West Ham team that is a bit weird, we can do that as well. Player book for Descent, fight breaks out. These ones are self-explanatory. These ones we usually have. VAR cost us, for example. Kukurea booed, because lol. This is just because, I don't know why, he just gets booed every single place that we go to. Really not sure why. So that might happen. Someone scores a worldie, winger to winger. We got Guyu. This is for Guyu, obviously. I don't know why the commentators always call him Guyu. It really bugs me, so that's why I put that there. We got this for if the camera flips. Harry Potter reference. This is just for if the commentary makes some kind of Harry Potter reference, because they always do it when Graham Potter's in town. Obviously, we are playing our former manager today, and that'll be quite fun for him to have a go at his former club. Grass is always greener. We usually have this. We've got Nicholas Frustration. Again, this is another one that someone from the Discord suggested. This is just for if Nico gets subbed off and he does that thing. He does this quite a lot when he gets subbed off, where he looks really frustrated with himself. I personally think he's going to have a pretty good game. I actually back him to score today. I found a fun stat about Nico today. Apparently since he joined Chelsea, he's scored the most amount of goals in London derbies for any player in the league, which is kind of crazy. So I back him to score again. And then finally we've got the Bob Marley chance, as always. But yes, let's go to the... What am I doing? Let's back this up to the front. and we can talk about the lineup. Now, as I said, the lineup's probably already out, I think, but I'm just going to put in what I thought would be. I haven't looked at the lineup yet. Personally, I would have played Jurgensen. This is something which I really don't think is going to happen, but I'm willing it into existence. I would play Reece. Obviously, he's our captain. He's still fit, which is great. I would have played Chalobah, but from what I've heard, he's not playing. Colwill, obviously, he always has to play if he's available. And Cuckoo, again, always has to play if he's available. This is a pretty standard lineup I'm going to be putting out, because I don't think there's much change we're going to kind of see. In the holding role is obviously going to be Moy, and then further up we're going to have Enzo. I don't know why I put him on that side. Enzo and Palmer as the two inside 10/8s. And then for the front line, because this is usually a bit contentious, I saw a lot of people saying that Neto would probably play. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to continue with the front line that we have been doing, with Madueke starting on the right-hand side, as we kind of spoke about him earlier. Sancho on the opposite side, because again, I think he's been really, really good recently. He just needs to kind of get that killer instinct to start shooting a bit more. And finally, Nicholas Jackson up top. Now, there are some funny things that we've been told about the bench. So obviously, Felix is obviously rumoured to be getting loaned out soon, so he's probably not going to be on the bench. But as you guys have probably said, the thing is already out. 10 out of 11, Tosin in for Trev. That's kind of what I assumed. When I got told earlier that Chalobah wasn't playing, I thought that Tosin was probably going to be put in. So that's what we can do. I'm not actually going to put up I'm not going to get the lineup from the Twitter, because it takes a long time and it's kind of annoying. So in fact, because I've just told that, let's just get Chalobah out and we can put Tosin in. Oh god, why has that done that? Let me just adjust that. There we go. And also now the bingo's gone, I can move the cam back over. There we go. God, I'm still a bit slow. I apologise. As I said, I haven't been in the kind of where is Darby? Oh yeah, there you go. I haven't been in the swing of content creation for a while, because we've had, obviously, we've had this break. There's been a small break between the games. Wait, I just realised, yeah, I've just clocked. That means that Jurgensen's actually starting. Great statement of intent there from Maresca, and it kind of shows. The thing is, basically what I was going to say, my justification for putting Jurgensen in today was that I think that Enzo really needs to put his foot down and say, cool, even if you are a first teamer, you cannot be making these types of mistakes and stay in the 11. There is no kind of, hey, you're always going to start. And it sets an example to the younger players in the team, like the Ties and the Joshes that have come up recently, that you have to play 100% every single week or you do get dropped. I think that's a really good statement of intent. In fact, I just mentioned, I said I wasn't going to get the Twitter thing up. Actually, let me move to this screen real quick. I should get it up because it will show the bench. And I haven't seen the bench, so let's quickly do that. Apologies for the thing. So who's on the bench? We've got Sanchez on the bench, Chalobah's on the bench, Josh, George, Kiernan, Gusto, Neto, and Kunku and Giu. Okay. So not anything particularly surprising there, other than Dewsbury Hall comes in for Felix. Pretty standard. Yeah, pretty standard thing. Hopefully Ty can get some minutes, I would say. That's who I would like to see play today. Oh, there we go. Let's move on to this. Hopefully we get we get some Ty up action. I think this is a good enough team to beat West Ham. And I think actually we get some team news from them as well. I don't know what their confirmed lineup is, but I do have some notes on them. Supposedly, Bowen should be back, which is quite scary for us because obviously he's pretty much their best player. That's why I put him in the thumbnail. Paqueta might be back. And then Somerville, Antonio, Fulkrug, and Todibo should be still injured. Obviously, I think they've signed Evan Ferguson. I'm not sure if that's gone through. I'm pretty sure that has gone through on a loan deal, but he's obviously, it's going to be way too early for him to start, so he's not going to probably start. Bowen up top, that's kind of what I assumed. Yeah, let's go for a score prediction real quick. Everything in my fiber, every fiber in my being is telling me that this is going to be an absolute battering. And everything is saying to me that we're going to beat West Ham 4-0 and it's not going to be close. But I'm a bit pessimistic because of the form that we've been in. So I'm going to be a bit nicer to West Ham. I think this will be 3-1. I reckon Jackson will score. I reckon Palmer will score. Probably a penalty. We probably get a penalty. I imagine Palmer will score a pen. And Who else will probably score for us? You know what? I think Cuckoo will probably score. He's been popping up in the box quite a lot, so he probably gets a goal. For West Ham, who do I reckon scores for them? It's probably going to be Bowen, but it's usually Bowen. I'm gonna suggest, because we've been pretty poor from set plays and stuff recently. I'm gonna suggest that Souček scores. He usually scores against us, and he's usually just a massive nuisance. Whether that's him playing outfield or in goal. That joke will never get old for me. Every single time I talk about Thomas Souček, I'll bring that up, because that still absolutely baffles me to this day. We can talk about some transfer rumours though before I end this, because we have got some cool news. Obviously, it's deadline day, and I'll be tweeting and stuff about it. If you don't follow me on Twitter, my links are in the description as always. So firstly, I've written loads of notes down. Firstly, we're apparently very close to signing Dario Asugo from Sporting. He's been on loan, I believe, at Las Palmas for like the entirety of the first half of the season. And he's done pretty well. He's played 14 times in the first team, which good experience for a youngster. I believe he's either 18 or 19. So that's something that we're linked with. I did some quick research on him. Obviously, I haven't done a deep dive or anything yet, so can't be too what's the word? I can't be too exact on how he actually is as a player, but from what I've seen and what I've looked at in terms of his stats and things, he's got very, very good defensive stats. He seems to be a bit of a mix between a 6 and an 8, a bit like Lavia, kind of similar profile to him. In the fact that if you actually go and look, he's got a very, very good percentiles for tackles per 90. I think he's 82nd, and he's 98th for interceptions per 90 as well, which and that's in comparison to every midfielder in the top 5 leagues. So over like 365 days or something. Very, very impressive for a youngster, especially in Spain, because in Spain they have very, very tricky players. So being able to get those kind of get your foot on the ball is quite fun. That's obviously just a rumor. We haven't actually seen him yet. However, we have apparently agreed a deal for Matisse Amugu. I'm assuming that's how you pronounce his name. I don't know. I'm not sure. From Saint Etienne in France. Now this is weird, because he was rumored to go to Strasbourg, but obviously we've got so many loans over there, and it's a bit weird. We can't really shove everyone over there. You're only allowed 3 loans to one club, and we're only allowed 3 international loans. Now for our 6 international loans rather. For our loans at the moment, we have Petro obviously out. We have Andre Santos obviously over there at Strasbourg, and now we've got Renato Vega, who unfortunately has gone to Juve, but luckily he's playing at centre-back at Juve, and he seems to be doing quite well, at least in his debut match, so hopefully he can get some minutes under his belt and actually get some good kind of experience there and come back and be much better for us. And then obviously we've got Felix is likely going, or Felix rather is likely going. Carney's likely going to Dortmund, so that's 5. So we've got 1 spot, because we've recalled Didi Fofana because he's been injured, and we've also recalled Caleb Wiley's. Now, we've obviously got Chilwell, who's looking likely to go out to Palace, which is going to be quite fun. Have we just got the here we go on Amugu? Nice. So now what I'm expecting to happen is I think genuinely Amugu will actually go into our first team and will be that kind of rotational option. As we've obviously got rid of Casaday, he's gone out, so that's a straight swap in my opinion. Ansel Mino is another one that might go out, but it's weird because again we've got we've got this kind of weird limit of like players that are going out to Strasbourg. Obviously it was Wiley, Petro and Andre, and now Wiley's come back, so maybe he goes there. That might be a thing. Obviously there's been talks about him possibly going to Marseille as well, so hopefully that's a thing. This is funny with me, right? Because I think I'm one of the only people that is not kind of upset that we're not bringing in a striker, and upset we're not bringing in wingers and things like that, because I generally think that our squad is good enough to get top 4. I don't think we need to panic buy, and I would rather us decide, hey, we're going to keep our funds until the summer window and then splash the cash. And I personally, what I think is probably being lined up, obviously Fofana's been recalled. The thing which I there's something in my head, and I'm no psychic, I'm no mystic, even though I like to call myself that sometimes. There's something in my head saying that this is all a big ploy for us to decide, hey, we're going to keep the players we've got at the moment, save our money, and then in the summer we are buying someone massive. And in my head, that someone massive is Victor Gyökeres. I think if we're going to be getting a new striker, and we're going to be getting a different profile to Jackson, and we're gonna get someone that is a proven goal scorer and will get you goals, it has to be Gyökeres. There's no one else. There's like no one else. And my brain says, like, if we were going for a striker that was like, oh, a Liam Delap or something, we wouldn't wait until the summer to do that. Sesko is another one. Very, very realistic signing, Sesko, I think. Personally, I wouldn't go for him. I don't think he's as good as he has kind of. I think the idea of Sesko is much better than the actual player. Like you see a player like Sesko and you're like, cool, he would be good for us, but I just don't think it's gonna happen. I feel like he would be another one like Morata, where it's like, oh, cool, he's gonna be this very good, like he's able to run in behind, but he's also a bit of a nine, can be a target man. And then it's just like, oh well, he doesn't get the service, so he doesn't score goals, and it's just like, yeah, I think yeah, Sesko going to Arsenal will probably be a thing. I think that's going to be the story of the summer, throughout the majority of it. Obviously, they're chasing Watkins as well, but I think the story of the summer throughout the summer window is going to be this back and forth between Chelsea and Arsenal trying to get Gyökeres. I think that's probably going to be it. I said if we got Gyökeres, I would be genuinely happy because he seems like a there comes a time when certain players come around, and despite the league that they're in, obviously he's in a pretty lower league at Sporting, I would suggest. I think the intensity of the Portuguese league is as close to the Premier League as you can kind of get in terms of the way that they press and the way that they defend over there. But Gyökeres is one of those players where I watch him and I'm like, wow, this is genuinely someone that could be like an Erling Haaland. Like, you remember when Erling Haaland first dropped on the scene and he was scoring loads of goals for Salzburg, and then obviously went to Dortmund and started doing well at Dortmund, and everyone went, oh, he might be a problem. If he ever came to the Premier League, he might actually be a problem. And there was loads of doubts about Haaland being like, oh, he couldn't do it in the Prem. It's too difficult for him in the Prem. And then he came to the Prem and broke the records. So I think that's a very similar thing to Gyökeres. I feel like he's a player where if he gets a move to a big European club that's in a slightly tougher league than the Portuguese leagues, a la Spain or Germany or France, or in the Premier League, I think he's going to absolutely go mental. Like, genuinely, he's going to be such a dangerous player, and hopefully that's in a Chelsea shirt, because that's what I would like. But yeah, United's another spot for him. But the thing is with United, they already forked out like 73 million for Højlund. I don't think they're going to do that again. I feel like they would be like, oh, we're not going to spend money on another young striker. So, but yeah, that's the transfer talk so far. And yes, we got about 55 minutes until the match. So I will close out here in a second. One thing I will say, and kind of in terms of the transfers, I want to mention, and obviously there's been a lot of like talk online. People are unhappy with us not doing very much in January and asking for our sporting directors to be sacked and things like that. I'm not a person like that. I'm not reactionary in that way, and I'm not going to like say, oh, cancel the whole project because we haven't done anything in January. Signing players in January was never ever in the past really a thing that clubs did. It was always a thing of like, if you have an injury or if you have a player that's unsettled and leaves, you use January as a way to kind of patch the little holes that you have in the team, and it's not to go out and buy big signings and stuff. So I think that's kind of what we are doing. The only thing I would be a bit worried about is the fact that we haven't brought in a replacement for Felix if he does go out. Obviously we're losing Felix and Carney at the same time, but what can you do? If players are unsettled, they can go out. I think if you spend loads of money in January, it just kind of harms you from being able to get players in the summer. And I feel like when it comes to players and the way that way that people are in general, players are much more likely to leave their clubs in summer than they are in January, because it's just, people don't like moving in the middle of seasons. It's a bit weird if you have to like, oh, well, I've been here for 6 months and now I've got to move to another country or do all this stuff. You want to kind of get your permanent homes and have like the entire year to prepare. So I'm not going to be too mad if we don't move for anyone else in January, and I hope that we put more of our eggs in the summer basket. And I think the next season, obviously our goal for this season is just try to get into Europe. If that's by getting into the Europa League in top 5, or if that's to get into the Champions League in top 4, which I personally think we are capable of doing, this is a stopgap year for the next year, because next year is going to be mental. With the type of players that we are bringing in, the type of young kind of promising prospects like Estavo Willian and Kendrick Paez. We've got Anselmino, obviously Andre Santos coming back. It is genuinely like so exciting, and I'm just sitting here like, can the next 6 months just go like a breeze? I'm waiting patiently for next summer. Yeah, top five might be Champions League 2, depending on other cup competitions and things like that. But yeah, so hopefully we can get that. And I said next year is just going to be mental, and especially if we with all those talents coming in, we then tack on to that the idea of, oh, maybe we go for a very big profile striker or a very big profile winger, for example. Go for those types of players. I genuinely am like, I sit here and I'm like giddy, like, oh, we're gonna get the main one. Actually, I say go for the strikers and the wingers. Get a goalkeeper. If we're going to splash big, please splash on a goalkeeper. I know there's been talk of us getting Kerbal. I think he would be very, very good for us. I've seen the kind of he seems to be the type of player that fits our system so well. And obviously we've got Penders coming up as well, and we've got Petro, who's doing really well on Strasbourg. It's very exciting. It's a very exciting time, and hopefully we can kind of use this game, because I do think we'll win. Do think we'll win this game. Hopefully we can just use this game as a springboard and get some momentum, get top four, and then next season we push for either the title or we go into a title race at least. I think that will be the way we do things. Absolutely not. I've just seen that question. Absolutely not. I would give my left leg to see Arsenal never ever lift a Champions League trophy in their history. That I would, I genuinely would. That's the type of hater that I am. I don't care if we do worse as long as they aren't winning. That's the biggest hater that I am. Like I would say, like, the thing is, for me, it's like we are such a successful club in terms of global domination, is what I would say, in the fact that we are a team that has won pretty much everything there is to win. And if we do win, obviously, the Conference League this year, we have won every European trophy out there. I think that is so much, and obviously the Club World Cup as well, and things like that. I think it is such a big flex over other teams, especially other London teams, because Arsenal, to their credit, I will always say this, Arsenal domestically are a very, very successful football club. They are so, so good domestically, but that's where it ends, right? That's the problem with Arsenal, is that that's exactly where it ends, is that they are very good domestic champions, and they are far better domestic champions than we ever have been. But in terms of continental growth and world accolades, they are absolutely nowhere near us. And to me, in my head, the world and the entire continent of Europe is much bigger than England. So there we go. That's what I will say on that matter. Sorry, got on a tangent, but yeah, there's my hatred for Arsenal. I would not wish them to ever win a Champions League, like, even if that gave us the pathway in. Like, absolutely not. I would also just rather us as a team be able to claim that qualification on our own merit and not have to rely on other teams doing well to do that. I think it's more disappointing if it's like, oh, well, we didn't get top five, but at least we actually get into the Champions League. That bugs me. It's like, well, I don't want to have to rely on the other teams being successful for us to also be successful. I think that we are a good enough team in order to get that top four, and especially considering how what's the word? We've obviously been on this really bad run, and yet we're still in contention for the top four. And the fact that the teams around us are also so inconsistent, like your Man Cities, like your Newcastles, your Bournemouths, those are the teams that we're kind of fighting this year. Obviously Forest as well, but Forest are slightly ahead of us in terms of they're actually doing so well now, and they're getting very, very consistent results. So I think they're going to be a bit more of a kind of a leap too far for us to overtake Forest. But the other teams around in that kind of top four race are all inconsistent, like we have been. And I feel like if we just start putting results together, like we did last season, right? Where last season we were literally 11th and 10th for about 28 weeks of the season, and we snagged qualification into the Conference League with a 5-week run of games where everyone else in the league in those positions anyway, just couldn't consistently get 5 wins. If we do the same thing this year, then we'll easily qualify. So there we go. Hopefully we get a late game push. And this is the thing with Chelsea, right? I've been watching Chelsea since I was like 3 or 4 years old, and I don't think we've ever had in my lifetime of watching Chelsea, we always have these periods, pretty much every other season, where we go through the winter period and we just have like really bad winter periods. We rarely ever have good winter periods, even in terms of the title winning sides. It just seems like January and December is just always really horrible for us. So there we go. And as you've just said, no Sanchez today, so no guaranteed mistake from our goalkeeper to give the opposition a goal. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out as ever. My voice is absolutely shot, so I'm going to get off. I'll probably do a depending on how annoying the result is, I might not do a feeling blue after the game because it will be very late. If it's a win, I will be doing it, no doubt. So after the game, I'll be streaming again. And as I said, I'm going to try and get back on the horse in terms of the content creation recently. Basically, a lot of things have kind of been happening. I was supposed to be going to America for 2 weeks in this February period, and that's kind of not materialized. And that was from the other trip that I was supposed to be taking in October that didn't materialize as well. It's kind of been pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. It's now been pushed back to April. So I've got more time now, and I'm gonna try and, as I said, I'm gonna try and get more consistent for this month and March, and then up until the end of April, we kind of move from there. And hopefully I can get some more control back, because I have been really inconsistent recently. It's just been a nightmare, and also we've had the break as well, but hasn't helped. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out as ever. I hope you guys enjoy the match. If you are at the match today, let me know in the stream when we do Feeling Blue. But yeah, enjoy your evenings. As I said, I'll go watch the game. It's got 45 minutes until kickoff, and yeah, hopefully we can get the win.